Shawna, as we ladies get older, is it just inevitable that we're going to gain more fat and thickness in our belly area?
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but just because we're human beings, there is a propensity for us to gain more weight around the middle. But in today's episode, we're going to talk about that belly fat, also known as visceral fat, and what we can do to prevent it, or if we have it, how to get rid of it.
And before we dive in, let's give a shout out to our Girls Talk Healthy Aging listener, Miss Tanya Rose. Thanks for listening. Now let's dive in.
Welcome to the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, where we dive deep into pressing health and fitness issues facing aging women. I'm Alli Kerr.
And I'm Shawna Kaminsky. And together we'll bring candid conversations, expert advice, and personal stories that will inspire and empower you on your own wellness journey.
So, Alli, what is visceral fat? We always hear it, and let's put a definition on it.
So one of the easiest ways to think about it is that it's the fat that is deeper inside that goes around like our intestines, even our heart. So some of the organs in our trunk area are surrounded by this layer of fat, and some of us have more, some of us have less. And then it's different. We also have that fat that's right, like if we pinch ourselves, that's right under the skin. And that fat is subcutaneous fat, which is not the fat. That's also an important fat, but we're going to talk about both. But visceral is deeper. It's not like I can pinch it and see it because it's below those tissues and around the organs in the trunk area.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that subcutaneous fat, the pinch and inch fat, and visceral fat, the fat that you can't see, that's sometimes we can see it because our belly grows.
Right, we can see a thickness change. Our structure may look thicker in the midsection.
But that it's a different kind of fat, and that visceral fat is metabolically active. It reacts differently with our body, and we're going to talk about that. But I always get the question of, well, how do I know if I have visceral fat? How do you answer that, Alli?
Well, we all have visceral fat. As ladies, men have more than us earlier on in life. They tend to gain more in the abdominal region before us. For us gals, we tend, and it depends on our shape. Some of us have different shapes, so some of us just genetically store more fat, whether it be subcutaneous or visceral. We store more fat in that midsection. As we age and our hormones change, us gals, we tend to, I don't want to say we become more like men, but in a way, we kind of become.
We lose estrogen.
Yeah, because we lose estrogen, so our body does change, and because of that, we tend to start. Even those of us that maybe didn't genetically store more fat in our bellies at a younger age may notice thickening in our abdominal trunk area, and that is an increase in visceral fat.
Yeah, because prior to perimenopause, women tend to gain in the hips, the thighs, the breasts, and that is subcutaneous.
But some women, yeah,
if you're gonna gain weight. But then there's also those genetically predisposed women that just tend to gain more belly fat.
I know you've had clients. I have clients. They have these tiny little legs with no body fat, and then all their weight is in the belly and the chest area. And they have nothing in their hips and thighs,
And that's in their, 30s and under.
In their 20s, 30s, yeah.
But typically, 5 to 10 years before menopause, there's a redistribution of fat or adipose tissue. So that's basically what happens. Like a lot of women tend to say, well, all of a sudden I'm just gaining this belly fat. And they might not have changed anything, but what's changed is their hormones, and so there's a redistribution. So they might not have noticed that, hey, I've lost some fat off my butt, and it's just placed, and I weigh the same amount. So I think a lot of women could attest to, I woke up and my shape changed.
Yeah, we hear that a lot. I hear weight too. I hear shape. And then a lot of ladies will say that their clothes, that they're still wearing the same size even. But one of the things that you mentioned is you can, the thickness, you can actually measure your waist and you can tell, and you can measure your hips too. So you can see how your shape is changing.
Yeah. So I think, there are scales that measure visceral fat. I don't know how accurate they are. How do you feel about that, Alli?
Not something I'm super familiar with. So yeah.
Yeah. Like
I don't know what the latest and greatest is, because it's not something that I guess it has not been something that has been urgently looked at as far as let's go measure everybody's visceral fat. So I don't know really what the best, latest, and greatest options, or how much emphasis is really being put on measuring,
or the technology behind it. Like maybe a DEXA scan, that sort of thing. But just the regular body impedance scales, I'm not sure that they are the best in measuring visceral fat. You know what I think is the best, Alli, is just your regular measuring tape
measure. Yeah.
Or how do your pants fit? Yeah. And you have to be careful because, sometimes you have low-waisted pants. Like you kind of want to measure.
You have to measure the same spots. And I like that when I measure clients, I measure three different belly measurements, because even when I'm measuring their hips, I really measure two belly, but when I'm measuring the hips, I'm measuring the lower part of the belly.
Yeah.
So that's really three measurements I'm taking in that torso area.
Some people are long-waisted, so their belly button doesn't necessarily line up with the smallest part of the waist. So typically I would measure the smallest part of the waist, and then kind of like an inch or a little bit below the belly button where you kind of have the bump. And Alli, everybody has belly fat. I think this is the biggest message today.
Yes. Well, I think that we one of the things we equate is flat belly with health. And I think that that's a wrong thing to equate. A flat belly does not mean that you are healthy. Now, we know that we don't want a lot of excess fat anywhere either. But we have become I would say we are obsessed with our bellies and belly fat and flat bellies. And in our mind, equating flat belly with health.
Yeah, and not always the case. It can be, but not always the case. So, and also, I know that, the pinch and inch fat below your belly button, that is subcutaneous. That's not visceral, because the visceral fat is the fat that's between the organs. So let's just just remind everybody that if you're listening and you're a woman and your estrogen drops, that's when estrogen tends to promote more subcutaneous fat. If you're putting on fat, it's going to be the pinch and inch. But then when estrogen declines, that's when it's going to go more towards visceral. So you're going to have more abdominal fat. The things that happen when estrogen declines is you tend to put on more abdominal fat. You're going to lose lean mass unless you're doing something about it. And so these combinations are putting you at more metabolic risk. And so, Alli, if you could please state the obvious, what are we going to do to maintain our lean mass? Why it's so important?
We're going to do some resistance training, and of course, along with dietary changes to support that, fueling ourselves, but definitely doing weight-bearing exercises for our bones and which is part of our lean tissue, and some resistance training for our muscle tendons, which is part of our lean tissue, and then supporting our fueling with adequate amounts of protein, along with vegetables and fiber, the vitamins and nutrients, but making sure we're getting the things that are going to help support that so that it doesn't disappear, because and it is a challenge. It becomes more challenging to maintain lean tissue as we get older.
Yeah.
It's easier to just gain fat, whether it be subcutaneous or visceral, and it's easier to lose bone, and it's easier to lose tendon strength. It's easier to lose muscle. All of those, we don't have to try. We don't have to work at that. That can come naturally if we don't fight against it.
And I do want to point out that a lot of people look at their body weight and think, oh, my weight hasn't changed. My body hasn't changed. But that is such a misrepresentation of composition.
We're missing the boat.
Right.
And also ladies that get excited about weight loss at all cost. Oh, I had the flu last week and thank goodness I dropped 5 pounds. No.
No,
that's not, thank goodness. That was not there was nothing good there that you lost.
And so a lot of times what happens is, let's say Mrs. Smith is 150 pounds, but she's not doing the things to offset sarcopenia or muscle loss. Let's say she's 150 pounds at age 40. She might, if she's lucky, be 150 pounds at 50. It's more likely that she will have gained a pound a year, which seems like nothing, but then now this is 160 pounds. But also during that time, she might have traded in some of that lean mass for body fat. So when you have less lean mass, muscle is metabolically active in that it burns a bit more calories even at rest. So she is less metabolically active even if she was the same weight. She is more likely to gain weight eating less calories. So it's kind of like this downward spiral. So our message today is really about, we're going to talk about how to get rid of visceral fat, how to avoid getting it, and how to maintain the lean mass. So, Alli, those were really good points about, it's not just one thing. It's not, oh, well, we can just lift weights, or, oh, we just have to eat protein. It's protein. It's weightlifting. It's vegetables. It's movement. It's a variety of things.
All the things we talk about all the time, and we change our bodies if we're not, even let's say someone who has been fit for their whole lifetime. Shawna, you, me, we've been fit for a good chunk of our lives. Our bodies are going to change, and that is going to be an uphill battle to maintain. It's going to get harder and harder and harder and harder to not get softer, squishier, saggier, draggier.
Yeah, I just feel like throwing myself off a cliff when you talk like that.
So the it's not just our bellies though, and I want us to get that. Like, it's everything. It's our everywhere in our body. And the other place I hear women talk a lot about are our arms. And it's interesting that I don't hear one of the places we tend to lose a lot of muscle is our booties, our butts.
Yeah,
and we don't hear women complaining about their butts getting smaller and saggier and draggier and weaker. And that's a big deal. That's a big honking deal.
Well, because it's a big muscle. And when you lose that muscle, you lose the metabolic engine.
Yes.
That muscle provides. Like, think about your muscle as like a fire, and you can stoke the fire with more calories, with more.
You have more lighter fluid if you got some booty muscle. When you lose your booty muscle, you can't. It's a lot harder to burn fat.
Well,
it's a lot harder to keep your ability to move.
Well, I was going to say, like, there's the aesthetics of it. Like, I don't want to have a pancake butt, which I know I do. I lost a lot of my booty, especially with my hip surgeries, and I've been trying to build my booty back. But it's the function.
The function, and like you mentioned, the metabolic function of those.
Moving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because, think about as women, we think in our mind, okay, I want to lose fat right here in my belly. So what exercise am I going to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to do some sit-ups. I'm going to do some crunches. I might do some side leans if I don't like the side. I might do a little twist. But those aren't even that metabolically, I'm not even burning that many calories. But if I do something that involves those booty muscles, then hello, I'm going to be kicking up my calorie burn. Of course, I'm also increasing my lung capacity. My stamina is getting stronger. So that wasn't something we mentioned earlier. We talked about, keeping your bones strong, also keeping your lungs, your heart, that vascular system strong is also going to help us to have less whatever kind of fat and have more tight tissue and keep our shape longer. I mean, we see ladies, we've had some on the show that are in amazing shape, that are in their 70s. I'm thinking about the lady that does the pole dance, and oh my goodness, Greta.
Yeah.
Iris smokes.
Yeah. Maintaining the muscle, but they're putting in the effort. Like when I said about jumping off a cliff, I don't want people to our listeners to think, oh my goodness, it's impossible. It is not impossible. And it's not, you don't need to run a marathon. Like you don't have to spend 6 hours a day to maintain your muscle and maintain these health measures. But there are small things that I do want to get to, Alli. But let's talk a little bit about the difference between visceral fat and subcutaneous fat. So number one, visceral fat releases inflammatory signals. So there's really not anything good about visceral fat. We want to limit it as much as possible. But the fact is that visceral fat and subcutaneous fat can be targeted similarly.
Correct. I don't need to do a special workout for my visceral fat versus my subcutaneous fat.
Yeah, no pills, powders, or potions. So, we need to trigger the mind for listeners to know that if a marketer is saying, this is for your visceral fat, it's like, no, that is...
What are you seeing in social media, Shawna, that just gets you fired up about this topic?
Well, there's one influencer in particular who is a doctor. I'm not going to name her, but she mentions that visceral fat has to be targeted differently. She's also selling a fiber supplement. So it's in her best interest to tell you that you need supplement to target your visceral fat. But actually what you need is, it's not targeted any differently, because subcutaneous fat, visceral fat, all respond to a high fiber diet.
And they all respond to all the other things we mentioned.
Correct. Yes. So, that high fiber, high protein, low processed foods, get the NEAT in. Like Alli and I are both on our walking pad right now. It's all the things that you've been hearing that are not sexy, that you don't need to buy in a pill, powder, or potion necessarily. I mean, yes. You could get a fiber supplement to help, because it is,
if you need it,
but if you need it, sometimes I think people lean on a fiber supplement and think, oh, I'm covered now.
Yeah, we lean on that as the first line of defense, where it should be the last line. These other lifestyle.
It's called a supplement because it supplements. Correct. Your first line of defense is your dinner plate, for example, half full of veggies, a vegetable or a fruit in every meal or snack. Whereas our go-to is maybe cheese and crackers or things a bit from a box or bag, when we really need to be getting it from the ground, or less processed, more natural, like real food type thing.
Real food. Yes, real food.
Yeah. So I think
nothing sexy about that. Real food.
Well, that is probably,
and it's work for people. Let's be honest.
Yes, and the calorie balance still matters. You still need to be in an energy deficit.
Which means you need to be burning more if you want to lose weight or fat, burning more, losing fat, than you are intaking.
Correct. And so the benefit of vegetables, for example, is the volume.
You can eat a lot of vegetables and not take in a lot of calories.
And they fill you up. They keep you fuller longer. So that helps you feel less hunger. And when you're less hungry, it's because you know what? If you're always hungry, that makes it very challenging to stay in that calorie deficit. So I don't know how, I'm pretty sure you work in a similar fashion to me, Alli, is that when you look at someone's food log, I had one client, for example, and she was like, I'm just always hungry. And I look at food logs a couple times a week. And so when I'm looking at it, there's no shame to her because she's learning. And so, so, you know, I'm using this as an example, but you know, she had low volume, high calorie food like fish crackers and low protein. She didn't have any vegetables. She had juice on her menu. She had what else? Just higher processed foods that tend to not fill you up, but fill your calorie.
And what was missing on that food log was probably a lot of real food.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't want to say that fish crackers aren't real food. I don't want to I don't want to demonize fish crackers. Because you know what? There's a time and place for.
Are these the little goldfish crackers, Shawna? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean,
like that kids eat, which is also not a good kids snack either. I mean, on the regular, I mean, it's fine to.
Correct. Like there's a time
and place. Yes.
But on your regular menu, if you're going to eat fish crackers for lunch, you're going to have a bushel of those. And along with that bushel is going to come probably 500 or 600 calories that are going to zip right through you, raise your blood sugar. You're
increase inflammation.
Increase inflammation. You're going to have that energy crash, and then you're going to be reaching for something else. Whereas you could have a bushel full of, I mean, I'm not saying, okay, you just have to swap that for broccoli. But if you had an equal amount of that in vegetables, you would still be eating at dinner time to get through that amount of vegetables. So you could have
through that amount of calories. Yeah. And
that's what I mean. Yeah. So it's a matter of, you know, making some of the healthy
quality.
Right.
Quality allows us more quantity.
It does, but there is a mind shift that goes with that, because some people might say, but I don't want more vegetables.
Sure. Yeah, and it's not just vegetables, because you're going to replace those crackers with hopefully some kind of lean protein, not just broccoli, but something, some real food that is not just vegetables.
Yeah.
And some clients are hungry because they skip meals. I know I get this. And then when they do eat, they're so ravenously hungry that they want the fish crackers or something that'll kick their blood sugar up faster, that'll get in their system quickly. And so sometimes we can set ourselves up for an easier time later on in our later meals, or we can set ourselves up to struggle later on during the day.
Yeah, and
our choices earlier.
And I think that's a common mistake, is saving calories or not having calories. Like if I don't eat breakfast and I have like this, you know, a muffin or something small for lunch, then it's like, okay, I'm just going to have a regular sized dinner. But then by the time you have the nibbles and the bites while you're cooking dinner, that's probably what you could have had for breakfast and lunch, but you have less opportunity to burn that off because it is going to sit in your belly overnight. And
I tell my clients that's fueling in reverse. You're fueling in reverse. You need you need energy during the day. You need to sleep at night. Why would you fuel yourself before sleep and not fuel yourself at the time of the day when you need energy and you're on the go? That's one of the things that doesn't help with visceral fat or subcutaneous fat, or just with feeling optimal and our bodies functioning optimally, and our brains too. We're putting all this fuel in and then wanting our brain to go to sleep.
Yeah. So obviously nutrition is going to be one of the first lines of defense to ward off visceral fat. And if you have visceral fat, as we all do, and you want to lighten that load a bit, then you're going to just look for fiber, protein, those real foods. And if you need to lose fat, then you're going to have to consider a calorie deficit, but not 1,000 calories a day. When, like, lots of times my clients, we might just go into, like, depending on the person, but a small calorie deficit. You want the smallest amount of calorie deficit, like maybe 200 calories, that's manageable over time, because if you lose fast, you gain fast, and what you're losing tends to be muscle and bone and not the fat that you want.
And one of the other things that we hadn't mentioned that I think is one of the biggest things that adds visceral fat on us and subcutaneous fat, and one of the fastest, most effective ways for some of us to lose some of that is to get rid of some liquid calories, whether it be alcohol, whether it be sweet coffees, whether it be juices, whether it be protein shakes that aren't really protein shakes anymore because they're so full of other things. So liquid calories is a big contributor to this extra fat on us gals. And as our bodies change and our hormones change, maybe we were able to get away with some of that at some point, and it's just not happening for us.
Yeah. So that is excellent strategy, is to look at the liquid calories. And then, of course, let's just touch a little bit on protein. We have a whole episode on that. But the fact is that we need to eat protein. We don't need to eat only protein.
Right.
I think we don't need a full-time job to be sourcing out and cooking and eating protein all day long. But I think I heard a stat the other day that most women are only getting about 40 to 50 grams of protein a day.
I believe it.
Which is probably less than half of what would be. And the recommendation is for, like, the RDA recommendation is not for optimal functioning. It's for survival. So the 1.6 grams as per kilo of protein is what we should probably go by, and that's for the sedentary person. So for those of you that work in pounds, and if you're active, just consider 1 gram per lean pound of body weight. That's a really good guideline. And the best way a lot of people are like, well, how do I know? Just start to food log, even food log for a week. You'll get a general idea.
Yeah, for sure. Food logging is so powerful, and we've talked about that before. And I think it's another one of those things that's just underestimated, underrated. It's the power of the food log. Even if you don't know what you're doing or looking at, even if you're just doing it on pen and paper, or maybe you're using an app, it almost doesn't matter. It just makes us, any way that you can start food logging is a step in the right direction. And I wanted to just give out some episode numbers, and I will put my glasses on real quick, that we have done that will help if you're wanting to dive more into some of this nutrition stuff, or more into losing belly fat. The best kept secrets to fat loss, episode number 6, is about NEAT, and Shawna addressed or alluded to that earlier when she was talking about us walking on the walking pads right now. And then, let's see, Discovering Intuitive Eating is episode 87. That's one that you did, Shawna, which is a really good one. Why Women Need More Protein, episode 73. We've done a lot of episodes on this. Nutrition Guidelines, episode 119. And then we did one specifically on burn belly fat, hate belly fat, or love your belly. And that is episode 20.
Yeah, so we've covered it a lot. I think it's such a hot topic with our clients, and I think our listeners. So you talked about nutrition a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about exercise, and specifically what kind of exercise. So we want to be looking at some aerobic exercise, some resistance training exercise to, again, address subcutaneous and visceral fat. We've been beating on this drum for a very long time. We'll continue.
Yeah, and moving. We need to. I mean, we'll talk. I know about specifics, but just think about how much we're eating and what kind of foods we're eating, and then also think about how much we're moving. Just in general, movement is exercise. Now, we can get into the nitty gritty of like different. How fast should I be moving? And we'll let you, Shawna, if you want to speak to. But at the end of the day,
yes,
moving. You're not going to go wrong with moving your body.
Yeah, so if we want to get a bit more granular about it, I don't want to say that walking isn't enough, because walking is brilliant. We cannot speak more highly of walking, particularly after meals, even just 10 minutes after meals, because that helps to lower glucose, lower that insulin. It helps you to utilize the energy that you've just taken in. But we do need that aerobic exercise where we're getting our heart pumping a little bit more. That in particular will help with, because you're getting hot and sweaty, that's going to help, like you alluded to the fact that we want to lose belly fat, so we might do some sit-ups, but we're not getting hot and sweaty doing that. But if we do 10 burpees, we're getting hot and sweaty. It's like putting lighting fluid on the fire.
Yeah, and one of the things where it goes back to me, some people are not moving much at all. I have clients when they come to me that are getting less than 2,000 steps in a day. And so for some people, that is the first line of defense, is to start walking. Like that could give somebody huge results who has not been moving. Now, once you start and you've kind of gotten the basics down and you're getting some decent steps in, then yes, there is or maybe you're already in a job that's more mobile, and so you move more. But if you're not even doing that, I feel like that is a great place for people. I want people to know that you can absolutely start with just getting more steps in. And then if you want to really hone in on, okay, let's kick this up, then Shawna is on it with this. We've got to, put a little more oomph in it.
And so there's something called sprint training, and a lot of people are like, oh, wait, I can't run. But sprint training really it's like a high intensity interval training. And honestly, let's say we're cleared with our doctor to do this. Anything that's going to raise your heart rate up, we can identify as high intensity interval training. You don't need to have a bike, a treadmill, a rower. You could do it in your living room. And one of the ways you could do it is you could say, okay, I'm going to do 30 seconds of something that raises my heart rate. That might be jogging on the spot. It might be jumping jacks. It might be burpees. And
sit and stand from a chair. Or tap the chair with your booty and stand. Tap the chair with your booty and stand.
And then you just walk around your couch for a minute. And then you do that hard interval again for 30 seconds. And then you rest for... The thing with interval training, and the mistake that most people make, is that they don't work hard enough, and then they don't have an easy enough set. So there has to be a definite difference between that hard set. So you have to go hard to get the heart rate up, and then you have to go easy to bring the heart rate down. So your cardiovascular system responds positively when we're able to bump that heart rate up and then bring it down, and bump it up and bring it down. And even a beginner can do this, and you don't have to bump your heart rate up to need a cardiac intervention. Like, don't need to go to the extent that it's like, oh, I think I need CPR. Right? We just need to be like, oh, I'm huffing and puffing. Okay, now I'm going to bring it down. Like, you don't need to overcomplicate things. Just get huffy and puffy. Use your watch or a timer to do 30 seconds of that. Bring the heart rate down. It might take more than a minute to bring that heart rate down. Might take 2 minutes. Okay, now I'm going to get huffy and puffy for 30 seconds. That interval training is very effective. There's some studies leaning towards that being more effective for visceral fat. So as Alli would say, the jury's out on that. We're not going to hang our hat on that, but that can be an excellent strategy for both subcutaneous, but particularly
for both. Yeah.
fat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But we need to have a balance of like maybe 2 resistance training workouts a week, and then get that the steps in, and maybe 1 like huffy puffy workout a week.
Yeah, and we've also looked at, I mean, there's been studies that look at the benefits of that on subcutaneous fat as well. Having that higher intensity workouts or 2 has benefits. And it can be at your pace. It doesn't have to be at my pace. It doesn't have to be at Shawna's pace. If you're getting 1,000 steps a day, then you're probably not going to be doing something super intense. It's not going to take something super intense to get your heart rate up. You'll know when your heart rate is up because your lungs are working harder. When you feel them working, then you know you're there, like you're getting there. Yeah.
You're there. And it is a total choose your own adventure for this type of thing. So
yeah, it can be walking faster or doing some hills. When you're going outside, find a neighborhood with hills, and see if you can get a little huff and puff going while you're walking up that hill. Yeah, and then let your lungs recover and slow down, and then you can either speed up or do another hill. Again, it doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Yeah, if you have stairs in your house, go up the stairs and then walk around at the landing till your heart rate goes down. Or slowly come down the stairs and then hoof it up the stairs. So fitness can be so simple, and it doesn't have to take all day, Alli, right? Like that's what I'm saying when you were saying, that it's all kind of downhill. It's small investments of time of maybe even 10 minutes to a half an hour is all you really need.
And we're worth it, ladies. We're worth it. Oh my goodness.
And Alli, I think one of the biggest overlooked benefits that's free that people are, I don't want to say benefits, but that people are overlooking is sleep.
Yeah. I think if we would even, and this could go to sleep too, but just back to exercise for a second, if we would just reallocate 5 minutes that we're spending scrolling on our phone, reallocate that to doing some movement. Just 5 minutes. Start with 1 minute. Heck. Yeah. And the same thing goes for sleep, because we could reallocate a few minutes of scrolling and reallocate that to our sleep.
Yeah. Because we often shortchange ourselves on the sleep, which causes hormonal dysregulation. That is
makes us hungrier for the wrong things the next day. Makes us more stressed.
Yeah.
Makes it harder for us to feel like exercising because we're just physically exhausted.
Correct. And there's something called ghrelin and leptin is the I'm satisfied hormone, and ghrelin is the I'm hungry hormone. And when we are sleep deprived, we have a deficit of the I'm satisfied hormone and an increase in the ghrelin, the I'm hungry hormone. And what that does, and it's, when you think about it, it makes biological sense.
It makes sense. Our body's having to work harder to keep us awake to do all the things we're fitting into the day, that we're cramming into our day, regardless of how much sleep we had. So it has to manufacture what it didn't get from the lack of sleep.
So it's like
caffeine, sugar.
Yeah. High fat, high calorie food. That's ghrelin we tend to crave those high calorie, high energy foods when we are sleep deprived, because the body knows that's going to kind of keep me going more.
So our brains have to have carbs. Our brain cells have to have carbs to survive. So when you're trying to think and you're trying to work and you're trying to stay awake and you didn't have any sleep, of course your body's got to find a way to get some fuel that it's going to, not what it needs. It needs the sleep, but we're stubborn and we're like, I got to stay awake. I got to do all these things. I got to go do this and I got to do that. And our body's just like, girl, What? So then we're like, okay, give me some coffee with some sugar. Give me a Big Mac. Give me some fry, like all the things just to keep it going.
Exactly. So, and I know that it's easier said than done to say, well, just go to sleep, because,
oh gosh, that gets harder too.
Yeah, perimenopause, menopause, there are sleep issues, but
sleeping with people that wake up a lot or that snore,
but
or animals that make noise, or whatever. Oh, there's so many things that people that are raising small children. That
yes,
I mean, the list. Yeah.
So, but the fact is that it's worthwhile to try and find solutions to whether
where
it's
you can.
talking to your doctor about hormone replacement therapy or some progesterone to help with sleep, or sleeping in a separate room, or not having the pets in the bedroom with you. Like, you have to find solutions, because your life actually depends on it. Your health depends on it.
Your belly fat that we worry so much depends on it.
Yeah, because I'm always amazed, Alli, that there's so many people that are dissatisfied with their health, their shape, their belly fat. But then when you mention some of the hard choices,
like, I can't do that. I can't. I like, yeah.
So we do understand there are hard choices. And
it can be baby steps. You don't have to do all the things. So one of the things we're big proponents of here on Girls Talk Healthy Aging is start where you are and take little steps. It can just you don't have to do 5. You don't have to say, I'm going to work on my sleep, and I'm going to get more vegetables, and I'm going to walk more, and I'm going to add in some getting my heart rate. You don't have to pick all those things.
No, pick one. Try and implement that. The one change challenge. Maybe do that for a week or 2, and then pick something else small that's doable for you. Pick those low-hanging fruits. You don't have to pick the marathon thing that is like the very hardest thing for you to do, because your stick-to-itiveness it's not going to last. So let's talk about the big takeaways here for the visceral fat. What do you think the biggest takeaway is about visceral
understanding fat? I think for me, just understanding that yes, we all have it, and yes, our bodies do change. That act like they don't is not realistic. It becomes something that we will need to maybe take some different steps and actions in order to manage it and keep it so that we aren't dissatisfied and miserable and unhappy. And the good news, and unhealthy. And the good news is there are things that we can do.
Yeah, and my big takeaway is actually that visceral fat, like you said, it's a reality. Realistically, that we're all going to have some, as if we are lucky enough to age, then we're going to be dealing with some visceral fat. But even though visceral fat behaves differently, there's not really any benefits to it. It's inflammatory and can have some negative health outcomes. It responds the same as subcutaneous fat. So you don't need to throw your hands in the air and say, oh, well, it's genetics. It's just the way my body is. It's like, this is how it is for all of us. And while you say that the things aren't, they may be challenging, but there's some doable and free things that you can do. You don't need to have, a personal chef and a personal gym and 6 or 8 hours in the day to be able to get the body of your dreams. You just need to have the will and a little bit of knowledge and apply some of these, I don't even want to call them tricks, some of these health habits consistently.
Yeah, and I'm going to give Shawna a plug. If you do need help or a coach, this is what Shawna does. She does online coaching, and like she said, she looks at food logs on the weekly. So this is something that you can reach out to her if you want more help or support.
Well, thanks for that. And the thing is that you don't need that hand holding the rest of your life. You just need to be armed with a little bit of knowledge, and knowledge is power. When we know better, we do better. So your wish for our listeners, Alli?
My wish is that we do just pick one little small thing that we can do that's going to make us feel better this week, tomorrow.
Yeah, I love that. One small change. And mine is similar in that, no, go easy on yourself. Not easy enough to go sit down, but easy enough to know that we all have visceral fat. We all have belly fat of some sort. And you are not more or less of a person with more or less belly fat.
Thanks for listening. You'll find me, Alli, on Instagram at Alli Curve Fitness.
And you'll find me, Shawna, on Instagram at Shawna Kaminsky. Feel free to pop us a DM with questions and or feedback. If you're enjoying the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, please subscribe and share it with other health-minded women. Ratings and reviews are also much appreciated and help us get our message out to a larger audience.
Until next time, be healthy and be happy.